have any questions about the meditation practice or anything else, now is the best time to ask.
Yes, Bante. The loving kindness meditation do not bring you to jhana one.
It does, yeah.
Only vipassana and anapanasati, right?
No, loving kindness actually is a very good practice to take you towards jhana. It can take you up to the first jhana, to the second jhana, to the third jhana. You cannot achieve fourth jhana in loving kindness. For fourth jhana, you would have to transition from loving kindness towards equanimity. And loving kindness will not take you to enlightenment, nibbana. So for nibbana, yes, you would have to observe the nature of the body and the mind as impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self.
How do I fight the hindrance of restlessness?
Hindrance of restlessness is very similar to hindrance of doubt, in the fact that in hindrance of restlessness you have doubt about yourself, whereas in hindrance of doubt you have doubt about the Buddha, Dhamma, or Sangha, or the teacher. So restlessness is usually doubt about yourself. It is when you worry that maybe you did some bad things in the past, or maybe you don't understand the instruction, or maybe you're not sitting in a proper posture, or you're not following it correctly, or this environment is right, or it's too hot or too cold, or you did not eat well, or something else. You have doubt about yourself. That's for restlessness. But most importantly, restlessness is powerful when you have broken a rule. So for monks, when monks break a rule, or when they think that they broke a rule, they don't have to necessarily break it to think that. So many monks, they think they broke a rule, but they didn't. And of course, many monks think they did not break the rule, but they did. And when the monks have this worry that they broke a rule, this can become very strong in their meditation practice. And they may feel, okay, so now I have broken rules, so what can I do? I cannot progress. A monk who, especially if it's intentionally, then that's pretty bad. If a monk breaks a rule intentionally, even the smallest one, according to our scriptures, according to the great masters, the monk will not be able to achieve any deep level of concentration, no way to achieve enlightenment, and after he dies, he cannot be born as a human or in heaven. So what remains? Just suffering. So when the monk realizes that he broke a rule, then this could be very damaging, to the meditation practice. Therefore, the remedy for restlessness is always, first, understand the rules, have clear understanding of what is right, what is wrong. Second, follow the rules very strictly. And third one is very helpful to have monks who understand the rules very well, so that if the monk has a doubt, he approaches the other monks and gets help. So it's then of course difficult to meditate alone, without any support, without anyone in the vicinity. But you may read in I think it's Maha Gopalaka Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, that the Buddha suggests there are 11 things that need to be there for proper progress in insight. And the Buddha in this particular case is very strict. He says, if you don't have these 11 things, you cannot progress in any way. And one of these 11 things is that you need to have knowledgeable monks somewhere, in the, how to say that? In the reach, somewhere in the vicinity, so that you can approach them with your Dhamma questions, or with your Vinaya questions, or with your ethics questions. So this is how you deal with restlessness. Those are 3, we have 2 more, and that is to have a good friend, somebody who inspires you by their practice, somebody who also follows the rules, somebody who also progresses, or who has already attained something. And 5th is having the so-called suitable speech, so suitable Dhamma talk, so suitable discussion. So you have suitable discussion, for example, about how to follow the rules, how to be satisfied with little, and so on, which can also help you to deal with your restlessness.
Thank you, Bante.
Another kind of restlessness is when we are simply not peaceful. That means the person is sitting in meditation, but they would like to dance and jump and run and so on. In that case, what I would personally suggest is to do meditation in walking. If you do meditation in walking 6 hours, 8 hours a day, then the desire to jump and run will disappear.
Bhante, can you list those things that is required for progress in meditation? You were saying.
Things that are required for progress in meditation. There are many. Already today you have learned so many about how to sit in the posture, how to keep the legs and not, and how to keep the back and not, and so on and on. So there are many things that are required for meditation practice. So I would say that there is one, and that's faith in the teacher. If you have faith in the teacher, then that's enough. And now you could ask, so wait, what if the teacher is wrong? What if the teacher is not teaching me the correct thing? Sometimes even an arahant teacher can be wrong. So we have a case when Venerable Sariputta gave instruction for meditation to his student, and this was on repulsiveness of the body. And for 12 months the student meditated intensively, and the student got nothing. Absolutely nothing, because the instruction was wrong. It was not wrong on its own, but it was wrong. It means that it was not applicable for that particular student. It was not what the student needed. And there is no wiser person, no more knowledgeable person in meditation and in Dhamma than the Buddha and Venerable Sariputta in all of the 2,500 years of our Buddhist history. So if Venerable Sariputta could get wrong, then who could get right? The Buddha then came up, he took up the student as his student, and the Buddha made by his psychic powers a beautiful golden lotus. And he asked the student to meditate on kasina, something that today almost nobody will ever teach you, because they think it's not right, or it's wrong, or they just don't know it. So the Buddha gave the student a meditation practice that today probably nobody or almost nobody would teach you. And it was that practice which led the student to become arahant very soon. So it's not that some of the Buddha's practices are not needed, or that they're not right, or that you don't have to learn them. No, all of the practices need to be well mastered by every meditation master, and they need to be well understood so that the teacher can lead the student towards success. You can never say that breath is good for everyone. That's just a lie. It's a lie or delusion. You can choose. Because there are many people who will not succeed in meditation on breath. They will start choking during their meditation. I personally met a person like that. She told me, Venerable Sir, I don't meditate at all because when I meditate on breath, I start choking. And I say, but did you know that there are other meditation practices? And she says, no, I didn't know that. In Buddhism, we have 62 different meditation practices, and breath accounts for 2 out of the 62. So she had no idea about she knew the tip of an iceberg. There are so many practices, and these 62 are just the big ones, Like one of them, for example, loving kindness can be further diversified into 528 kinds. So there's a huge amount of meditation methods. And it's very important to understand that. So if a practice doesn't work for you, there's always a different practice that may work for you. Sometimes it's not the practice, sometimes it's the teacher. Sometimes you just do not have that kind of faithful relationship with that teacher, so you need to go to another one where you get your faith. Different people resonate, with a different teacher. Yes.
So how are you going to know that it's a right way or wrong? What is fit you? What you're looking for in meditation?
For progress. And in our scriptures, progress is a little bit strict. it must be a jhana or nibbana. So if you do not get jhana or nibbana within 12 months, then if we take it very strictly, you need to go somewhere else and practice something else.
Mm-hmm.
But here 12 months of course means meditating like 8 hours, 10 hours a day. So this would be a pretty good test. If you see within 12 months of meditating 8 hours a day, you don't progress, go somewhere else. It's a good idea. The Buddha even says, if you stay somewhere and you meditate and you progress there, you need to stay, you need to continue being there. And again, progress in our scriptures is getting jhana, getting nibbana. There's some people could say, but what if you get peaceful? What if you get higher knowledges or vipassana jnanas and things? No, that's not in our scriptures explained as progress. So if you get that progress and you are not happy there, like things are broken or you do not get enough food and things like this, still you have to stay there because you get progress. Now, if you do not have progress in your meditation, then even if the place where you are is comfortable, nice, with all support, you must go. The Buddha gave like this 4 kinds of dwelling. The one that's comfortable and you progress, stay there. Not comfortable, you progress, stay there. Comfortable, you don't progress, go away. Not comfortable, not progress, go away. That's how the Buddha teaches it.
So mostly you have to like comfortable with it where you are in order to do practice. When like you're happy or something like that. Like,
You're asking me about me.
No, I mean everyone or me either. So I don't know, like I came here to practice. I think I'm looking for peaceful, right? But I'm not sure where to put my mind into peaceful. When I hear something or I do something, my mind just jump around and gonna be explore me. Just try to keep myself in peace, but how you have this something to hush your mind to be stay in peace. It's gonna be
To achieve peace, you need to gradually train. It's not something you get immediately, and even if you get it immediately, you will probably lose it after some time. So peace is rather a skill. In our scriptures, in the commentary to Sutta Nipata, we have the explanation that there are 3 kinds of peace. Peace of Nibbana, peace of Jhana, and then the peace of those who have wrong view. But also peace that's the worldly peace, like nobody disturbs you, so you're in peace. So that's not really the peace we are looking for. So we are looking for peace of jhana or peace of nibbana. What is the peace of jhana? Peace of jhana is when you sit down in meditation, you concentrate on a given object, for example, breath or loving kindness or something else, and you are happy with that object. The mind is with that object. And I like to say that the mind becomes the object and the object becomes the mind. In other words, you unify yourself with the object to such a level that nothing else matters for you in the world.
That's a good one, right?
So that is jhana. That is jhana. And you can unify yourself with the object on different levels. So of course, the higher the level, the more unification, the more satisfaction, the more completeness is there in that unification, in that becoming one with that object. But that is still temporary. You may enjoy that until you die, then you are born in the Brahma world, you enjoy there for many, many billions of years, then you die, and then you may again be born as a human and again start from the beginning. So that doesn't help, in the long term. I mean, in the long term.
Yeah.
What helps more is achieving Nibbana. So the peace of Nibbana is, in this case, double. So you can have peace from defilements and you can have peace from 5 aggregates. The peace of defilements is achievable during this life. The peace from aggregates is partially, temporarily achievable in this life, but completely it's achieved only by an arahant when the arahant passes into Nibbana. To achieve that peace, we first have to understand that there is no me, no mine. To understand no me, no mine, we have to observe the body, the mind as impermanent, unsatisfactory, not so. We see that all of the body is just changing, the mind is just changing, We therefore remove all attachment to them, and then we see, there's actually nothing that I could control and nobody who controls. And through that understanding of not self, there arises the wisdom that nothing matters in the world. And it's this removal of worry, the removal of expectation, that is the peace. So we do not expect anymore that somebody will talk to me like this, or that I will get this, or that I will experience that. There's no more expectation, no more worry. And that is a pretty powerful peace. That's the peace of the first kind of Nibbana. But then, because there is no expectation, because there is no desire, no hankering, no worry, then there is also no craving. No craving for sensual pleasures, for existence, for non-existence. And with the removal of these three kinds of craving, there is removal of suffering.
Okay, thank you. So we should have a practice themselves like every day, or have limit, or like what kind of usually we have to do to get in our mind, in peace, something like that.
It depends on what can you do. Like the Buddha suggests that we take the night as the day and the day as the night. In other words, that we meditate 24 hours a day.
No, cannot be.
So from this you can understand that you cannot really overdo. The more you do, the better. So we do not have problem with maximum. Okay. Now, what about minimum? I personally suggest that you actually start with the minimum that is very comfortable for you. Is it 1 minute a day or 3 minutes a day? Totally fine. It's totally fine starting with 1 minute. When I was 15 years old, I think I started with 30 seconds. That's how I started my meditation. And then, of course, every, let's say, 2 weeks, you extend a little.
Yeah.
And as you extend, then for me, it became from 30 seconds, 100 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes. So you can gradually extend. Then in another period, I started with 15 minutes, 5 times a day. Then I gradually extended the amount of minutes, and I reduced the time, the times of meditation. So from 5 times 15 minutes, I then extended, let's say, to 20 minutes 3 times a day, and 30 minutes 2 times a day, but I would still keep 5 times on Saturday, Sunday. Gradually, I would extend until again meditating 1 hour and 40 minutes in the morning and in the evening, and then 5 times on Saturday and Sunday. And I can tell that even though I went to school and I had a little job, I still was able to have a very considerable progress, or that's what I feel that I had. So I really enjoyed my practice. It was very powerful. Gradually, if you can increase and if you can maintain that habit, it's good. Even if you don't increase, doesn't matter. What matters is that you maintain some time, some place that are the same every day. Regular time and the same place, time and place. Again, this is classical conditioning. So you find in your house, in your home, you find there a nice place for meditation, and you only meditate there. You don't do anything else there, in that 1 meter square. You can keep there, let's say, a Buddha statue or a candle or whatever you find suitable, and you have that place for meditation and no other. You don't meditate anywhere else, but you meditate there. And also you have a specific time for meditation, whatever time you want. Some people like to meditate in the evening, some people like to meditate in the morning, as you like. Different people have different preferences, but as you decide that time, it's very important to follow that time every single day, as much as you can. If you travel, or if you, let's say, oversleep or whatever, well then you travel, so you meditate somewhere else, but that's an exception. Or you fall asleep, okay, so you meditate a little later, that's an exception. This is also why I like to recommend meditating in the morning, because if you miss meditation in the morning, you can meditate at noon. If you miss meditation at noon, you can meditate in the afternoon. If you miss meditation in the afternoon, you can meditate in the evening. If you miss meditation in the evening, you can meditate in night. Now, those who meditate at night and they miss meditation at night, when will they meditate? No, meditate that day. Done. So meditation in the morning is very, very helpful, especially in the daily life. And also depends on what is your purpose. Why do you want to meditate? If you want to meditate to be successful and happy in your life, which probably everybody wants to be, then it's good to take your loving kindness practice as your basis, because loving kindness is the ultimate key to success, happiness, peace. Then if you can meditate, let's say, if you meditate like 1 or 2 hours a day, I would personally suggest loving kindness only and nothing else, because that's quite the time that loving kindness is needed to bring pretty good benefit. But if you can meditate more than that, if you can meditate like 3 hours, 4 hours a day, well then the remaining time could be dedicated to observing the nature of the body, to observing the nature of the mind. But that technique I explain at meditation retreats rather than like this, because it's complicated.
Anything how we should, when we meditation, should we focus on something or to make sure our mind is not go over the place, or you're not thinking over the place? I mean, you have to focus. There's something that you have to focus on to be stay. What's your topic?
This will depend on the instruction of your teacher. So it's always good to have a teacher and ask the teacher, Venerable Sir, what should I do as to meditate at home? And then you follow the instruction. All meditation involves mindfulness, both concentration and insight. For both of the meditation practices, for both concentration and insight, that means samatha, vipassana, you need to have mindfulness. The great masters explain in our scriptures that there is no samatha practice without mindfulness. And because vipassana itself is mindfulness, there is of course no vipassana practice without mindfulness. So mindfulness is the basis of all meditation practices. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the...
I like it from the beginning that you start to say, okay, put my mind on my forehead, my nose, my ear. I can feel it. Okay, finally I can feel all the bodies just one, like a Buddha, like that statue. Yeah.
but this is not the way
It
how I instruct
seem to
meditation.
be try to get everything in your body first. Something like that.
That's good,
Yeah.
but we need to be careful. I do not instruct the students to put their mind somewhere in the body, because some students cannot do that. And as they cannot do that and they force to do it, instead of being successful, they get a headache. They get a headache, they get a stomach ache, they get weird pressure on their face or somewhere else, and they just cannot meditate. So no, that's not the way to do that. We do not put the mind anywhere on the body, no. And I'm also not aware of any case in our scriptures, in the Buddha's teachings, where the Buddha would instruct us to put the mind somewhere in the body. No. But we accept that there is a certain nature in that certain place, that's all. So we do not try to feel it, we don't try to experience it, not at all. We just accept that fact. So we accept, okay, there's something at the top of the head, some location at the location of the top of the head, and we understand, okay, so there's probably, the monk says it, so maybe there is some flat piece of sinew, so let's allow it to be just the way it is. We don't force it, we don't try to feel it, we don't put the mind there. If the mind happens to get there, okay, that's your advantage, but it's not the instruction. Again, this is because some people cannot do it. And if you ask the people to do it, or if you say that it's good, that's more than enough for that disaster. We do not say that this is good, because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Okay? And these people then really try to push the mind there, and again, they get headache, they get stomachache, they get problems, they cannot meditate. It's just destruction of their enthusiasm and of their practice. No, we don't do that. But we allow the different parts of the body to be the way they are. That definitely helps, but in the practice that I teach, this is just the basis. It helps you to get peace, and you then use the peace for loving kindness. Loving kindness is actually the basis of the practice that I teach, but it's not the essence. The essence of the practice that I teach is observing the mind. To observe the mind, you need to gradually get towards that. I lived 5 years in a Burmese monastery that is specialized in observing the mind. And I have met and discussed with so many students who observe the mind as their main meditation practice. But I'd say that most of them totally didn't understand it at all, that they're just totally lost. And they themselves say that they're lost, or they say things that are just not according to the scriptures, it's the opposite than what's right. Or they find some discovery that's totally useless, and they think how it is important. Or they do not understand the important thing, and they don't understand that it is important. So I believe that to observe the mind, you need to gradually get to that level. You cannot just say, okay, I will observe the mind. It simply doesn't work for most people. Of course, there are exceptions, but it doesn't work for most people. So when I teach meditation, although the essence is observing the mind, I teach it only after the student really progresses well. First, they start by meditation on muscles. They then develop peace. They gain the skill in developing peace anytime, anywhere, within a split of a second. When they have developed that skill, then they start meditating on loving kindness, where they simply allow other beings to be in peace. They will have to develop loving kindness in a very special way. They radiate loving kindness to 5 beloved, to 5 neutral, to 5 difficult people. For each of these 15 people, they're supposed to achieve very extraordinarily amazing experience in their body or in their mind. So that also takes some time. When they achieve it with all of those 15 people, that means even with the most evil, most horrible people in the world, they achieve amazing, beautiful love and appreciation and happiness. Then they move on to the loving kindness that I call universal loving kindness. So they radiate loving kindness to all living beings. By then they have already understood what means all. So all means the beloved, neutral, and the non-desirable, the challenging as well. Their loving kindness, when they radiate the universal loving kindness, is then pure. That means it is not hindered by any worries or troubles or a comparison between, oh, this one I like more, that one I like less, and so on. When they achieve this universal loving kindness, they actually achieve a very special skill. It's called Satte Su Upekha. Some of you maybe have heard Sankar Upekha, but now we are talking about something else. Satte Su Upekha is equanimity towards living beings. Sankar Upekha is equanimity towards all conditioned things. So in loving kindness, we want to achieve this Satte Su Upekha, this equanimity towards all living beings. That means, just like me, all living beings are worthy of the same love, and that means the highest, the purest, the pristine love of the mother towards her only child, the ultimate motherly love. So we understand that there is this worthiness in all living beings. With that understanding, which is of course very hard to get for many students, so they need to practice and gradually get to it, then with that understanding, the student has achieved an upekha. So we want to get to upekha, that's the highest factor of enlightenment. So that way we need to gradually progress. Now the student has achieved satte su upekha. That's pretty good, and it's on the way, but it's not it yet. This is still samatha, it's still concentration. It doesn't really tell the student about any impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self. It doesn't really explain to the student anything about the 5 aggregates yet. But the student has already achieved satisfaction. And this satisfaction can then be developed into the higher level. So when the student has achieved satte su upekha, they can start practicing vipassana. If they start practicing vipassana, they will not be hindered by troubles with living beings. So they will not get angry with this one because this one looks like this, or says this, or does this, or doesn't say this, or doesn't do that. And also they will not have this idea that, like for parents or grandparents, For them, okay, well, I'm old, I will die, I get old, that's fine. But my son, he needs to live, he needs to be like this, he needs to be like that, he needs to be healthy, he needs to be, he needs to have this knowledge and like that. Or my daughter. So there's, the Satya Upekha is missing. It's very hard to get by parents or grandparents because they feel like they understand impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self in their body and mind, but not in their child's body or mind. And that's where they are stuck. Okay? So for parents and grandparents, it's a little more challenging to meditate than for those who are not parents or grandparents. And this practice of loving kindness helps to remove this problem. So the parents, grandparents understand, so it's not just my children and it's not just me. All living beings deserve the same love. With that attitude, they start vipassana. They start first by observing the body. When the Buddha teaches vipassana, always he starts also by instructing the body. In Myanmar, great meditation masters say there is no way how you can meditate on the mind without prior understanding of the body. Not all teachers teach that, but there are teachers like that. And it definitely, we can definitely support it by a lot of the Buddha's teachings. Meditation on the body is like a shortcut towards enlightenment. So I start to teach meditation on the body after the student has mastered loving kindness, or the Satya Upekha, and the student first observes the so-called 32 parts of the body. They understand gradually that there is impermanence, that there is danger, that there is absence of control. These are like practical alternatives to impermanence and satisfactoriness, not self, which at that level are very hard to understand yet. And then when the student understands that, then the student starts to, will get the instruction to observe the body as the four elements. So they entirely remove all this comparison between the different parts of the body, like this one is better, this one is nicer, this one is not nice. Like for example, oh, the nails are nicer, then for example, the feces or the hair are nicer, then for example, the urine. No, that's a wrong perception. All of the body is the same. There is no part of the body that would be more permanent than the other one, no part of the body that would be more satisfactory than the other one, and obviously no part that would be more self than the other one. It's very hard to understand. You may accept it by like theoretically, but to meditate on that and accept it, it's pretty hard. Then when the student understands that, then the student has understood what is matter. Extremely hard thing to understand. Because those who meditate on the mind without first understanding the matter, they confuse the two. So they think that actually feelings are in the body, or that the body feels, or that the body knows. No, the body feels nothing. The body knows nothing. It's very hard to understand this, especially for those who meditate on the mind so much without meditating on the body. There are even actually very common cases of meditators who say there is no matter, everything is just mind, which in Theravada Buddhism is a total, is like a total removal of any potential for progress. There's no way to progress. The very first level in your insight practice is to clearly understand that body and mind are there and that they are different. So if this is the very first level on which all of the other levels are built, then if you do not have this first level, then you are totally out. So the idea that matter is not here, that this is all just mind, is totally off. Entirely disqualifies the person from any potential to progress. And it's so common with people who meditate on the mind. It's just so common. It's like almost normal. So here you hopefully understand. It's very important to start with meditation on the body. When the meditator has mastered understanding of what is matter, that means matter has hardness, cohesion, temperature, and motion. Then the meditator can start observing what is the mind. What is the mind? Feelings, perceptions, intentions, consciousness. There is no hardness, cohesion, temperature, and motion in feelings, perceptions, temperature, and feelings, perceptions, intentions, or consciousness. No, these are the so-called 8 elements, as explained by great masters in our Pali scriptures. So we get these 8 elements of the world. 4 elements for the matter, 4 elements for the mind. They're totally different. So the meditator then starts to meditate on these 4 aggregates of the mind, gradually observing one after another, so that they understand that not only the body is impermanent, unsatisfactory in not self in all respects, but the mind is also impermanent, unsatisfactory, not self in all respects. But that still is not enough. Just understanding impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self is not enough. It's important to understand them at the ultimate level. So the student first understands impermanence at the conceptual level, where they see that things that arise, they have to perish at some time. But when the student has fully understood the nature of these, let's call them 8 elements, the student then can fine-tune their mindfulness to the level where they see the arising, passing moments of their consciousness. They will not see all of them, but they will understand through their own experience that this is what mind is. They may not see all of the moments, but they may see like bundles arising, passing. And it is this understanding of the impermanence that's the so-called ultimate impermanence. And through this ultimate impermanence, the student can then achieve freedom from the greed, hatred, ignorance. The student can achieve enlightenment. And that we understand as peace.
That's a long process. That's too far now. Thank you.
So we still have plenty of time. If you have any question, you can ask.
Any question?
Is the walking meditation solely to quell restlessness, or is that necessary for development on the path as well?
In Visuddhimagga, which I understand as the manual of meditation teachers, we have the list of 7 things that are suitable. 7 things that are suitable, or 7 things that we have to make suitable. And one of these 7 things is posture. So there's suitable posture and there's unsuitable posture. Suitable posture for meditation is the one that you like to meditate in, where you progress. Unsuitable posture for meditation is the one that you don't find comfortable, that doesn't help you to progress. And we understand postures in scriptures always as 4. That means sitting, standing, walking, lying down. For some people, standing posture is comfortable, excellent. So that's the way to meditate. For some people, lying down is the only way. For example, old people or ill people will have to lie down. It doesn't mean they cannot meditate. Of course they can. The Buddha taught meditation instruction to an ill monk who was very ill and who had to lie down. And he was able to become enlightened. So there is no problem with that. We have actually a case in our scriptures when a monk lived in only 2 postures. So our scriptures have this concept of the 4 postures, and they build on that concept with additional derivation. So you have 4 postures, 3 postures, 2 postures. What are 4 postures? That's the way how we live. So we sometimes sit, sometimes walk, sometimes lie down, sometimes stand. That's all fine. But in the Buddha's time and later until today, there are monks who decide to remove one of the 4 postures and live only in 3. So they remove the lying down posture. So they do not lie down. Even at night when they want to sleep, they will sit down and they will sleep while sitting. So this is something that's actually recommended, and monks who really want to achieve enlightenment as soon as possible, they like to remove that posture from their life for a certain period. Sometimes for 3 months, sometimes for the rest of their life, or indeterminately, that depends. It's not a rule. So it's entirely on the monk whether he wants to do it today or tomorrow, 2 days, 5 days, 1 month, 10 years, anytime they can stop it, start it, no problem. But we have in our scriptures one mention, up to my knowledge, I've so far seen just one, where the monk removed one more posture. And that was the sitting posture. So the monk lived only in standing and walking. Monks are allowed to eat and drink while standing and walking. No problem. Okay? It's just not traditional, so monks don't do that. But monks can actually eat sitting, eat in any of the 4 postures. So this monk only stood and only walked, and he became arahant very fast. So it is possible, it is totally possible to entirely remove all sitting posture and still become enlightened. So that's of course a very special case, but it shows you hopefully now very clearly that walking posture can be helpful, and it also can be the only vehicle, so to speak, towards the enlightenment. So you can do all of the meditation practices in the walking practice, in the walking posture. The Buddha praised walking posture very much. The Buddha said that if you can achieve concentration in walking posture, that concentration will be well stabilized. That doesn't mean that it's easy, it's actually the opposite. To get concentration in walking is hard, but when you get that, then your concentration will be well stabilized, it will be well reliable. So the Buddha appreciated when monks meditated in walking posture sometimes. And in Myanmar, it's common that during the day you alternate them. So you have 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking, 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking. In my retreats, I go even further. Like in Myanmar, you have in sitting certain method and in walking some other method. Let's say in sitting you meditate on breath, in walking you observe the nature of the 4 elements in your feet. What I do, I simply teach that the student has full freedom over their posture. They just need to follow the instruction. So for example, loving kindness is meditated exactly in the same way in sitting and in walking. Or observing the mind is meditated in the same way in sitting and in walking. So the student also who needs to follow 6 hours minimum of meditation every day during my retreats, they have full freedom. They do not need to worry how much they walk, how much they sit, if they fulfill the quota. It's minimal, of course. So some students meditate 8 hours, 10 hours. I had a student who meditated 14 hours. So there's really no problem whether they sit or walk, whether they stand. For lying down, there I'm a little stricter. Students who want to meditate in our retreats and want to lie down, their lying down counts as 50% of the time. So they have the quota, they need to fulfill 6 hours, but if they lie down, that counts as 50% of the time. So if they, let's say, they sit 2 hours, they walk 2 hours, well then they will, and the rest they want to lie down, so they will have to lie down 4 hours.
How far we can get concentration level, jhana level with the walking meditation?
In walking meditation, it seems not only that you can get all of the 8 jhanas, but you can also achieve the ultimate cessation, the so-called Nirodha Samapatti. We have the case of the King Bimbisara, who you have probably heard of King Bimbisara, who was imprisoned by his son Ajatasattu, and when he was in prison, Ajatasattu wanted to make him, make him starve to death. So first, the wife of the king, you probably know the story, so we can skip that. And then when the son of the king Ajatasattu found out that the king Ajatasattu gets, food by some different ways, then he did not get therefore any food. But the king Bimbisara, then what he did, he meditated in walking, and he achieved his Phala Samapatti, his attainment of stream entry. He was already stream enter, but a stream enter can enter his nibbana, the level of the nibbana that's attained. So he would attain it actually while walking. Why while walking? Why not while sitting? That I don't understand. But that's what he did. And he was able to stay in there a pretty long time, and that he had, that made him satisfied. So he was not starving because he was meditating. So it's possible to achieve anything and everything in the walking posture.
Brahmin, so if we want to make faster progress in meditation, would you recommend to sit longer at one time, like at one sit, or like 6 hours in a day, but like 1 hour and take a rest, and 1 hour and take a rest? Which one is better, or it doesn't really matter?
One of my first meditation teachers was Venerable Pema Siri in Sri Lanka. And this Venerable Pema Siri in Sri Lanka, he said in one of his Dhamma talks that when he was younger, now he's an old monk, but when he was younger, he was able to meditate 12 hours in a row. In Myanmar, I personally know a monk who was able to sit 40 hours in a row. But he doesn't live anymore, so you cannot meet him anymore. But the point here is that the Sri Lankan master suggested that if you meditate 12 hours in a row, it's not fruitful. He actually suggests that we don't do that. In Sri Umantoya, that's the monastery where I stayed those 5 years, there the Master Venerable Tejaniya, he does not allow the students to meditate longer than 1.5 hours, because he says they may lose their mindfulness. Okay, it may lead them to laziness. So at least once every 1.5 hours, the students need to change the posture. So they would like meditate 1.5 in sitting, 1.5 in walking, and so on. I personally do not allow my students to meditate longer than 1 hour in a row, because I have students from various levels of society, and some of them suffer from mental disorders. And I can recognize the student who meditates longer than 1 hour, that they are not following the instruction. Then I can easily contact them, and I can find out that they have a problem. We already had a case like this. So we had a student who did not report to us a mental disorder before the beginning, but he did have it. We found out even from his parents. And he was walking meditation practice for like 3-4 hours. And we found out that there is some problem, just because he did not follow the instruction. If the instruction was free in this manner, then we would not find out. It could be a bigger problem. So we then found out that he really has a mental disorder, which he did not report to us before the retreat. And we took him to a hospital, and we at least prevented, making it worse. So it's a good idea to meditate 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking, 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking. Long time meditation in our scriptures is only with pleasure. You have never long time meditation period in our scriptures where you would have pain. Well, long time in our scriptures means days, always. Okay, long time is always days. Okay, not weeks, that's true, but days. So we have 3 bhikkhunis, 3 nuns, who are very interesting in this respect. You may read about them, I think, in Therigatha. So Therigatha is a book in our Pali scriptures which contains the stories of Arahant nuns. And we have there 3 nuns whose story is very interesting in this particular respect. One of them meditated 1 day, one of them 7 days, one of them 8 days in a row. And the commentaries then explain exactly what happened in their meditation. When they left from their meditation, we know that this was in a row because they described that after they left from their meditation, they stretched their legs. So this is supposed to be done after you finish your practice. But in Myanmar, somehow they don't like it, so they never do it. Because in Myanmar, if you happen to stretch these legs towards a monk or Buddha or an elder person, it's disrespectful. So they don't do it. But that's what was done during the Buddha's time. And we know that these nuns, they meditated 1 day, 7 days, 8 days, and then they stretched their legs. So what did they do? They enjoyed it. And we have it very clearly. I enjoyed meditation for 1 day, or I enjoyed meditation for 7 days, or I enjoyed meditation for 8 days. There is no mention of any suffering at all. Like for example, the master in Myanmar, he suggests that you actually go over the pain. Because it helped him to, I think it cured his cancer or something. So it definitely helps to some people. But I also know of a case who meditated like this and he died in meditation. So that also is not very helpful. And meditation masters should not like to have a student who dies in meditation. I personally don't like that. Therefore, I do not suggest that. But again, it helps some people. So we cannot really say that this is wrong. We can only say it is not in the scriptures. That's the maximum I can say about it. So you will see many, many meditation masters who tell you, you need to get over the pain. You need to stay there and just get over that. But no, there is no support for that in our scriptures. In our scriptures, if you have pain in meditation, you have to put it aside and continue in your practice. So what kind of pain did we have in our scriptures in meditation? Robbers, so a gentleman had a sister, parents died. Now he and the sister would have to be the heirs of the family property. But the gentleman by that time, when the parents died, he was a monk. He became a monk. Now the sister was jealous. She was worried. What if my brother becomes a layperson again? Well, then he will want part of that property. But I don't want to give him the property. And in the Buddha's time, there is one solution for that, to kill. And so she hired robbers, robbers, and she got these robbers, or whatever, assassins, whatever you want to call them. She hired these people to go, or hitmen, to go and kill the monk. So they went up to the monk and they said, "Venerable sir, we are hired to kill you." Isn't that amazing? I would love to be announced like that before somebody kills me. And then he said, "Dear sirs, I am not an arahant yet. Please give me 1 more night for my practice. And then do whatever you want." And they said, "How do we know that you will not run during that 1 night?" And he took a stone and he broke his femurs, the bone of the thigh, his thigh bones. Both of his thigh bones. He broke them right in front of them. And he said, "This is the proof for you." And they're like, "Okay." So they went somewhere close. They spent their night in whatever way they wanted. And this monk continued in his practice. And the scriptures say then that the monk put aside his pain and continued in the practice. He did not meditate on that pain at all. So if you have pain in meditation, you are not supposed to meditate on that. Again, something that most meditation masters will not tell you. But it's wrong. We need to follow the Buddha's teachings. Why should I follow the Buddha's teachings? Why don't I follow a meditation master? Well, because a meditation master might have been successful, but he's one. Whereas in the scriptures, we have suggestions of meditation masters who and their students and later students and their students, maybe thousands, maybe more, were successful with that way. So what is my probability? Is my probability for success higher if I follow what one person was successful with, or if I follow what 100,000 people were successful with? So that's my logic. And therefore, when we meditate, I believe we should not have pain in the sitting posture or whatever other posture. Tiredness is fine, numbness is also fine, but it should not be like pain. If you have numbness, that apparently is really no problem. After that 1 hour or 90 minutes of meditation, you sit in your secondary posture and you wait until all the body gets fine. The nerves, apart from the spinal cord, the other nerves are pretty good in regeneration. They're some of the fastest things that can regenerate in the body. So if you have numbness, that actually is usually caused by pinching the nerve in your lower back. It's called the sciatica nerve, and that nerve, when it's pinched between the two vertebrae, it stops to work. And if it's pinched for a long time, then it's a little bit damaged. But then when you sit in the secondary posture and you wait like we did for that 1 minute or 2 minutes, observing your piece, that nerve regenerates and it's fine again as before. So meditating for a long time is not something that's necessary. You may like to know one more story, but I have a class, so I will give you all 1 hour pause. But there is a story of Venerable Ananda, maybe you have heard of that, where Venerable Ananda did not stay in his meditation posture even for a few seconds, and he became an arahant. And that was really not a meditation posture, because he was transitioning from sitting to lying down. And while he was lying down, he became an arahant. So you do not really need to stay in a meditation posture for any period of time at all. What I, however, require is that all meditators make determination in the beginning of the session, so you know what you are going to do. Determination always has 3 things: how long time, which posture, and which method. So like we did now, we decided from now on for 20 minutes, that's the time. I will meditate on muscles and loving kindness, that's the method, without any movement, that's the posture. Because now already you're sitting, so you know what's the posture. And therefore, during that period of the time, you will have no doubt how should you sit, what should you meditate, what is right, what is wrong. You just allow that determination to bring the effect. When meditators do not do this determination, and I can see that meditators really do not do this not my students, but other people, they don't do that determination. And then they have this trouble. So they start to meditate and they think, so am I going to observe the mind, or now the breath, or loving kindness? What am I going to do? Maybe loving kindness. Oh, maybe I should observe the mind. And then they don't really spend the time by something, because they just wonder what they should do. So instead of peace, they have restlessness, because they're not sure whether what they do is what they should do. The determination removes this problem. In other words, although it's fine to meditate any period, it's important to know what you want to do during that period of time.
So what do you feel like you want to sit longer after, let's say if I determine that I want to do 1 hour sitting, and after that 1 hour pass, and you suddenly feel like you want to continue to sit. Like you feel that pleasure and there's no pain. So at that moment, should I continue or should I?
In my practice, you need to take at least 10 minutes of walking practice, and then you can actually continue walking. Think about it. Why do you want to continue in that sitting practice? Do you want to continue there because you can clearly see the reality as it is? Well, in that case, transitioning to walking posture should be no problem. Or do you want to sit there because you have pleasurable feeling? Well, then that is not really what we are looking for.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a class. I have students waiting for me somewhere else. If you would like to continue, you can see me again here after 1 hour. Thank you everyone for coming. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be successful in everything you do.
Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.